Second.
Okay, we will call this Winnebago County Board of Adjustment public hearing for April 25th, 2023 to order. We'll begin by introducing ourselves. I am Greg Cargus from the town of Oshkosh.
Tom Trushel, town of Amro.
Sue Drexler, town of Algoma.
Tom Verstegen, in town of Blackwell. Daniel Lefebvre, assistant zoning administrator with Winnebago County.
A decision will not be made this evening in regards to your variance request. That will be made next week, Thursday, May 4th at 7:30 in the morning. You can call the zoning office after 9 o'clock to find out the results of your request. Anyone who does not agree with the decision made by the board may appeal, and I'll have Dan read the appeal procedure.
An aggrieved person may appeal a final decision made by the Board of Adjustment by filing an appeal with the court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the final decision.
Anyone wishing to give testimony this evening will need to be sworn in prior to giving testimony, and will only take testimony from one person at a time, so it can be recorded. The first one we have this evening is property at 7579 Mallard Lane in the town of Wolf River. Stefan and Christina Marsh. I'll have the legal description read.
Legal description being all of units 7 and 7-2 of Plug-in Shores condominium plat located in government law 2 of section 36, township 20 north, range 14 east, town of Wolf River, Winnebago County, Wisconsin.
Okay, is there someone here representing Marshes who'd like to give testimony this evening?
Yes, I would.
Okay, come forward, please. Sworn in by Dan.
Raise your right hand. Please state your name and address for me.
Stephen Marsh, our legal address, primary address,
Yeah,
W48 and 8368 Sandpiper Lane, Cedarburg, Wisconsin.
okay. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay, Stephen, go ahead and tell us what you are planning to do there, please.
great, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for making time to hear a little bit about us and what we're trying to get done here today. And my name is Steve Marsh, and my wife Christy, and our two daughters, Eloise and Azalea. They'll babysit tonight, so they get to see how government works tonight.
There you go.
Certainly appreciate the time and consideration you've given me and my family on this matter, and also like to thank Daniel for the time and guidance he was giving to me and my agent here, Corey Elkover of McMahon and Associates during this process. And Corey and I have spent a lot of time discussing how we can best made you why our application meets the relevant criteria for approval today. We're seeking an addition onto our cottage for the primary purpose of creating a functional bathroom that existing space within the cottage currently prohibits us from doing. We bought the property in the summer of 2020. Having visited friends at Lake Poygan several times in the years prior, the opportunity to purchase was an easy decision when it came for sale. Since our purchase, we've enjoyed Lake Poygan and the surrounding lakes and rivers immensely. We're truly grateful for the memories that our daughters are creating every year, experiences my wife and I really didn't have growing up. The cottage itself has a relatively small footprint, about 400 square feet. There's really three main areas of the cottage: a galley-like kitchen space, a great room area that's sort of on the back of the house and overlooks the water, and lastly, a partially walled-in room that serves as both sleeping quarters for the girls and also as a de facto bath. I say de facto because the term bathroom, at least in my opinion, conveys more than our current situation. It's effectively a toilet and a sink placed along the wall of this room. We often joke that one of the girls roll out of bed and land on the toilet itself. Needless to say, there's little to no privacy in that space for either those who need to use the restroom facilities or the girls themselves when they're in bed. When we first bought the cottage, the setup was accepted by us as sort of a short-term condition that we had to manage through until such time that we were prepared to review our plan with this board today. The girls were 4 and 2 at the time. If any of you having kids, you can understand that at that age, privacy is optional, rarely given by anyone in the house. However, as these two grow, naturally the need and desire for privacy also grows. In fact, based on recent questions and comments from them, the girls are increasingly aware of the substandard condition of the space. Additionally, when we purchased the property, we had little to no visitors due to the need to socially distance from one another at the time. This was the summer of 20, and COVID was just getting underway. However, since the lockdowns and other COVID mandates have lifted, We've been more than eager to invite family and friends to visit and experience all that the shallow lakes can offer. And an unfortunate element of the current space limitations of the cottage is my father-in-law, Chrissy's dad, is unable to use the bathroom in this space. He's in a wheelchair and has very limited mobility. The configuration and size of the cottage are such that we are unable to accommodate his needs. Needless to say, his visits along with Chrissy's mom are too acquainted. Additionally, my own parents, when in their 70s, have their own challenges set up, the size and fit of the fixtures, and also lack of privacy make it a compromising and unsafe situation for their use. We purchased the property from a very lovely couple who are empty nesters and live in Neenah. They made day trips to the property. So their current setup, essentially a toilet on the wall, as I described, in a bedroom that they didn't use for sleeping, was a workable, situation for them. They in fact installed the holding tank during their ownership, which was an upgrade from the privy system that was previously in place. However, based on how they use the property at the time they installed the holding tank, they did not pursue an addition for the bathroom, and therefore did not take advantage of any of the impervious surface mitigation points, or otherwise it could proceed towards a potential increase in the square footage. As I just mentioned, their situation was unique based on little to no overnight visits, which is very different than how the vast majority of owners utilize these cottages. I also have to say at the time the board would have granted a variance for this addition if the previous owners pursued it, but based on the circumstances of replacing the privy with the holding tank, along with the size limitations of the existing structure, giving approval towards an addition that would seem a reasonable fair accommodation and aligning with the criteria for granting those variances. What we've shared with you today are circumstances I know that are unique to our family, but the underlying need for privacy, safety and security, and they're universal to anyone that might own this cottage or otherwise visit it. In our opinion, these are very basic human needs and that are not possible with the substandard condition of the space, which effectively is a defect inherent to the property. I certainly understand that we're asking you requires different consideration from the board. We're respectful of that process. That's why I engaged Corey here with the Bannon Associates to make sure we're meeting your expectations for a request like this. We met them today, and we're certainly not looking to build a Taj Mahal here with this addition. We love the property, we love the quaintness of the cottage. We want to be respectful of the surrounding homes in the neighborhood, and we want to put forth a plan that isn't obtrusive to others. We want to save what we have and utilize what we have. In fact, those three people that have dialed in here are residents of Oregon Shores as well. They're open to testifying here today as well. Our simple ask is really complete the process that previous owners started when they installed the holding tank, and that's to build a true bathroom in this part of the cottage.
Okay, so you are requesting side yard setbacks of 4.95 feet on the north side and 6.35 feet on the south side, correct? That's the side yard setback would be. And then the question that I have is with the proposed retaining wall, where is that going to be located? It's going to be around the three sides of the addition. That's right. This is a 1 foot, so it's going to be 1 foot from the foundation, basically.
It's going to be right up next to the foundation. It's 10 foot out.
A foot out. Okay. And it's going to go all the way around.
We'll go all the way around the new structure.
Okay, so then that the drainage for that wall would be headed towards the lake.
Towards water.
It'll be angled, but
It's sort of drainage with the natural flow of the water in that area.
okay. I was looking on the survey that was provided by McMahon Associates, and I assume that those little squiggly arrows that are on the survey are the direction of the drainage.
That's correct.
Corey, would you
I
like
can,
this one?
I can get sworn in.
Yeah, would you
And I think I can better answer some of the more technical questions anyway, so.
I'll have you raise your right hand. Please state your name and address.
Corey Kelkoven, employed with Man Associates, address is W5943 Valley Lane, Appleton, Wisconsin.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
So in regards to the drainage, if the variance is granted, we are more than likely gonna have to construct 1 or 2 rain gardens to meet or to mitigate the impervious surface requirement. So water would be directed towards some rain gardens, and the spots we had picked out were adjacent to the lake, on each side. And it would help if I could point possibly. We're looking at doing a rain garden over on this side. And on this. Yep, something roughly like that, yep.
I guess when we were out.
Where are they?
Oh, I'm sorry, down on the lake.
So they'd be down on the lake.
Side.
Right here?
Oh,
These.
yep,
So any of the drainage would be required for this addition would all be directed towards the lake.
correct.
And those lines, again, those little arrows that are on, is that the current direction of the?
That's the current direction of the surface water, yep.
Is, you know, I don't, maybe you know this, or Stephen answer one. Right now, there's no ditches or anything out there, correct?
Correct.
So where does water go when it heads towards the road? As it is right now.
Where it heads, when it heads towards the road,
Yeah, like if you get a heavy rain or if you get snow melting, where does that water go?
it
So
really
it's,
doesn't head towards the road at all.
so it's very flat out there.
Yes, it is.
So. I'm assuming that there is a fair amount of standing water at the times out there and it infiltrates. And the way most of the cottages are built, because I, not that I walked the whole thing, but I have driven and visually looked at the whole thing. I think there's probably a break about midpoint of each structure where it goes towards the road, towards the lake.
If you're on the addition. When you do the roof line and everything, is there gonna be an overhang on there?
I would assume so.
And that normally is more than a foot, is this gonna be more than a foot? You know, so-
Overhang is typically 18 inches.
So that would be outside of the retaining wall,
Correct,
correct?
correct.
So. If you didn't have any gutters on there. The retaining wall wouldn't do much good, would it?
The purpose of retaining wall is to meet the floodplain requirement.
I understand that, but it's also, it's a direct drainage away from
Sure,
the property. I'm just asking questions, because I just want to make
Right,
sure that. you know,
right,
If we. Yeah, I mean, the drainage would be through the county as far as the drainage plan would go.
right.
You know, they-
And I know there's drainage concerns on this whole development
Yeah,
as well.
would they? It might, I mean, if you. If you would extend out the. The wall, retaining wall out to the. Close to the. Lot lines.
Yeah.
That would cause a problem as far as.
I think that
tagging
would,
on that kind
I
of thing.
think that would make drainage even more difficult.
But would you be, or would they? Would you guys agree to maybe a little bit wider? Retaining wall around the. Just to alleviate any possible drainage from the
From the overhang,
overhangs?
So is the concern that the water coming off the roof wouldn't hit the retaining wall, just go?
That's one concern, yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, just
Just
go,
as I can interject here, usually with rain gardens and such, they have some type of use trough that directs water to the actual rain gardens themselves.
that would be a requirement of the,
That it doesn't need to be a requirement, but that's something the property owners could do. If they're looking to mitigate that,
is that something we could require?
you most certainly could.
Okay, that's, you know what I'm getting at, right?
I do.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you're talking as going. Like a mini storm sewer, or you're just wanting to do like a buried downspout or.
yeah, I mean, if you had a buried downspout, even if you had it, if. If you got to a point where it looks almost like with the existing cottages now. On the east side, that the drainage from there goes towards the lake.
Yeah, that's pretty much the break point, yeah,
And then the break point would be going towards the road would be
yep,
right where that is now.
right,
So I guess my concern would be having all of it going towards the lake, which could be done possibly with, like I said, either underground.
Right.
Spout or
Yep.
whatever, just to get it to go that way, and also to keep it flowing so it doesn't get on the neighbor's property.
right.
And we're just exploring possibilities, that's all.
No, I appreciate that, yeah.
On the roadside of the addition, are you plan on making the 15 feet? Fill one for the fill requirement,
We weren't planning on that,
so you're talking 1 foot all the way around the addition.
right, all three sides, correct.
And there will not be a garage there.
No, the garage is on the unit across the street.
It sounded like this is a place to visit from time to time rather than a residence. With your address being in Cedarburg, I presume that's correct, but I'm not sure.
That's a true statement. It's something, we don't live there permanently. That's correct. Although
And
one day. Talked about retirement perhaps, but that's a long ways off for us.
And other than blending the two structures, nothing else is going to change about the existing structure.
Why, if we were granted the opportunity to build the bathroom, we would tear out the existing plumbing fixtures that are in there right now and repurpose it to be a true bedroom. So,
But there's not going to be a tear down and a rebuild.
no,
So
no,
there's still.
the existing structure will stay there and the addition will be added to it.
There's still going to be a crawl space under the existing structure, but not under the new structure.
I think that's the expectation. That's, we're not gonna fill the crawl space on the existing, that wasn't part of the plan.
The 4.95 feet that you're using for, or hoping for side yard setback already exists for the current house.
Correct,
So we're not getting any closer to the lot line that already exists.
correct.
And there's going to be roughly 15 feet to the next building.
Along that wall, and it gets closer on the lakeside, yes.
There's a reason why you chose 1 foot for the width of the setback for the retaining wall. Would it have been 2 feet? Would it have been 3 feet?
The reason I chose 1 foot, that was what we did on a similar property out here. Lance Robinson, his case is not completely the same, but it's different because he actually built a whole new structure, but we did build a 1 foot retaining wall all the way around it in lieu of the 15 feet fill requirement.
That is accurate.
So that's why I chose that 1 foot.
Thank you.
Any questions? Anyone on
Yeah, trying to picture how this is all gonna work. 1 foot. So you're gonna have a block wall out. And then soil behind it and the entire distance is gonna be 1 foot or,
I envision the whole thing being concrete.
okay, like a portable wall around it or.
That would probably be the most economic way to build it, would be to have it all built as a concrete wall.
It certainly work, I mean.
Right.
As far as,
I believe that's
structure
the
and
way it enhances. Well,
Yeah, I think it's concrete on this.
right.
And you're gonna just grade it towards the water.
So. It would drain away from the building in that little bit area that we have and either hit a swale. To drain back, or if we,
Okay, so you're going like this.
yeah, it would.
1 foot on.
Right.
So on the one that you have done in the past, that 1 foot.
Yep.
So it leaves you with about 4 inches of actual soil. Is that an 8-inch wall? 9-inch concrete?
I don't think you're thinking.
No, there's no soil at all.
There's no soil.
No soil at all. It's concrete.
So
It's up, but it's concrete all the way to the building.
Oh, solid concrete.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Oh,
Yep.
okay. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Misunderstood.
Yeah, I did too, I was picturing soil behind it.
Yeah.
This makes
Thinking-
more sense.
It does make more sense with just the concrete wall. would certainly take care of the flood aspect of it.
Okay,
I think just structurally too.
Yeah, I was, yeah, all that stress that. I was gonna ask for the calcs to see. If
That's how it is.
skeptical.
Now you understand our confusion.
yeah,
I have a question for Dan. Does that wall have to come 15 feet beyond the front of the existing structure? Or does the 1 foot that they're asking for mean that they overlap the existing structure at 1 foot?
Normally, it's 15 feet from the wall of the structure. They're asking for only 1 foot from the wall of the structure.
So we'll overlap the existing structure at 1 foot.
No,
Not at all.
no, the retaining wall will be a foot away from the existing. Well, so the existing structure is not being touched. It's only the addition. So the retaining wall is only around the addition piece.
The way, if I could point it out to clarify that a little bit. So I do. So I did extend that retaining wall, a foot beyond to get into the existing structure, just. So you had some protection here, you know, because if you just end it right there, you're not. I think that's at all. Exactly. Right.
Thank you.
oh, yeah. Okay. Now, when you look at it closer, you actually see it a little bit. up.
Yeah, mine's a little bigger.
Yes, okay.
On the computer, it shows up nicely.
Well, yeah, sure. Great. Any more questions? Anyone on the board? That explains a lot.
Great.
You know, it was a little bit confusing just by the description from what we have in our heads.
Right,
You know, this is what you're actually thinking.
that's why we're part of why we're here. If you guys don't have questions, I have a few other things I'd like to add as well.
Absolutely.
So. I want to point out that. I don't believe that this is gonna be the only time. There's gonna be a variance asked for in this development. I think almost every structure out there. The very near future is gonna need either an addition, some kind of reconstruct. Some kind of maintenance to the exterior as well as the interior. A lot of those cottages are old. They're built on blocks. I noticed some are. Definitely below floodplain, looks like some are at or above. So I feel that. It's important to consider. This one as well as. The future happenings of this area. Don't really want to use the word precedent, but that's, you know, that's what we're looking at here. Then. There is a unique circumstance with condominiums as well. So condominiums, when you buy a condominium, you're buying. Chunk of air, essentially. There's no lot lines. So. Even the side yard setback in a condominium unit is kind of questioning enforcement on that a little bit. I understand it for this development, but typically condominium is done to circumvent some of the setbacks. I'm not aware, please stop me if I'm not, or if I'm saying something you guys are already aware of, but I think that's all I got. Steve did a very good job bringing up all the other points. Yeah, if there's no further questions, that's all I have to add.
There was a note in there about the condominium agreement. An association of sorts having to approve
Yep,
things.
yep.
How does that note affect what we're considering here?
So,
I can answer that.
Okay.
It does not have any effect on the Board of Adjustment. What they do is their own separate issue, whatever agreements they have with the registered deeds or condominium. Agreements have no effect on what we're doing.
Any other questions? No, is there anyone else, does who like to,
Well,
stand for or against this?
Well, certainly not against, I hope not. I'm not gonna call their names.
Otherwise, we can Zoom.
Mike Brewster is vice president of Boygan Shores. Patrick Gaylord is the secretary and also my direct neighbor, just to the north, and Dave Gaylord, former past president of Boygan Shores and longtime resident up there as well. I mean, I want them to speak to it, but they're all here serving support of the project and advocates of it. I'm sure we can roughly from them.
If they'd like to give testimony, certainly welcome to do so. They'd have to be sworn in prior to doing so.
Hey, guys on Zoom, if you're willing to speak on this issue, please make some type of noise and we will swear you in. And then you can discuss.
My name is Brian Gertz, and I'm one of the owners of the property on Indian Shores down at the end there.
Okay.
And forgive me for asking. I came into this meeting late, and am I hearing this right? They want to build a condominium at
No, they aren't looking to build any condominium. If you wish to speak further on this topic, let's get you sworn in.
I think he's here for the other agenda.
Oh,
Wrong guy?
This guy.
this is the marsh variance. Who are you looking for?
this is I'm supposed to be in. I'm trying to be in a meeting for information of a variance request for 6702 Sunset Trail.
Okay, that is the next variance on our agenda.
Okay, great. Then I'll keep listening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who would wish to speak on the marsh variance, please unmute on Zoom.
He's muted.
We can't hear you, Mike. Just give me 1 second.
How about now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Please raise your right hand. State your name and address for me.
My name is Mike Brewster. My permanent address is W273 N6884 Pintail Court in Sussex, Wisconsin, 53089.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here to offer testimony in the case of the Marsh family. I am, as Steve mentioned, vice president of the homeowners association there at Boygan Shores. And I think Steve and Corey did a great job of explaining the predicament here. And I would only offer, in addition to that, personally, to see that space, I honestly believe would offer a little debate. I think, the basic human needs comment is an eye opener. In the first case, you would notice, I don't know if there's photos or floor plans there, but the space, when Steve mentioned 400 square feet, it is likely even smaller than that. And you might consider it even a studio type property, and that, some of the walls don't even extend to the ceiling. So it's very open. And I won't go into, what that offers and affords with a bathroom in the near proximity. And then, having two little girls, what that complicates. Also, I would state, using this place out of any summer months, with an outhouse in the back and asking, the family to use the latrines there, when it's not so warm at 5 in the morning or at 9 at night is I think an obvious expectation that we would want to honor for them. So Steve also mentioned visitors from Christie's family in-laws who do live in nearby Manawha, and I'm confident in speaking with them that the visitation probably more frequent with things like this from her family to enjoy all that the shoreline has to offer there. So as I said, it's a small property to begin with. I don't foresee any issues knowing the neighbors myself and being on the board. What Steve does not have there is a basic need, and I fully support, and I know the neighbors, on behalf of the neighbors that I have spoken with, would as well. And that Steve isn't looking to make, as he said, a Taj Mahal out of this as much as just a simple, small addition on the back of the building. That's all the commentary I would offer.
All right, thank you, Mike. One question for you, Mike. Do you know, have you or anybody else experienced any issues out there with drainage?
With drainage
Yes,
in general at Poygan Shores?
yeah, yes.
Yes, and there is, as you may or may not know, there's actually a study ongoing across the entire condo association there that we are actively working through right now.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else who would wish to speak to the marsh variance? Please unmute now and make some type of noise.
Yes, this is David Gaylord. I'd like to speak, please.
Okay, Dave, can I have you raise your right hand?
Done.
All right, please state your name and address.
David Gaylord, 30 Autumn Bliss Drive, St. John's, Florida, 32259.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I just want to offer up that I'm third generation at the property 2 doors down from the marshes. I've been the homeowners association president for many years. I've known, I think, 3 or 4 previous owners of the marshes property. And I just wanted to speak that what they're requesting is very typical of what's been granted to others. In fact, the property to the south of Stephen Christie was granted a similar addition, to have, after a holding tank was added, to put a bathroom on. Just to the north of Steve, that my brother Pat, who's on the phone, our parents put an addition on there after a holding tank, and I am next to him, one more to the north, and it's probably been 12 years ago now that I was granted the same courtesy by the county to put in a holding tank, abandon an outhouse, and have just enough addition really to put in a suitable bathroom there. So what they're asking for is very typical to what's granted before, would not at all look out of character in the neighborhood. And they're probably one of the few places left that haven't gone through this type of addition. So I fully support it and think it's good for the neighborhood and helps us get rid of, outhouses. Nobody really wants those. So thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Anybody else who's wishing to speak on the marsh variance, please unmute yourself and make some noise.
This is Patrick Gaylord.
Patrick, raise your right hand for me.
It's raised.
Please state your name and address.
Patrick Gaylord, W6826 Hazelnut Lane, Appleton, Wisconsin.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm just adding into the support of the others. It's hard to add much more. There's been quite a bit said about this, but I am in support of the project. I think beyond the things that have been stated so far, it will also add value to the property and help improve the neighborhood. That is all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else who's wishing to speak to the marsh variance, please speak now. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you, guys. Steve, I have just one question. These guys keep alluding to an outhouse. You don't have one, do you?
There's an old outhouse that's abandoned on the property.
Is that behind the garage, that little building behind the garage?
That's right. That's what that little thing is there.
Okay.
So we don't use that, but it was left by the previous owner. I don't know much about it, quite frankly. It's just there.
Well, we maybe the condition of.
Just on a side note, is that filled in right now?
I'm sorry.
Is that outhouse filled in right now? Is there a hole in the bottom of it that can still be in use?
I don't know. I can verify it.
Okay,
Please.
Yeah, or just let the county. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just curious.
All right, is there anyone else who would like to give testimony and seeing for or against this variance request? If not, thank you guys for coming. We'll adjourn this one and go on to the next. Oh, I'm sorry, back up.
Yeah, I speak. We do have correspondence from the town way back when this was first brought to public hearing. They did recommend approval. town findings does not in any way harm, does not in any way do harm to land or neighboring properties, allows for reasonable and practical use of the property and increases setback from the original deck. No objections from the neighboring town or property owners, improves and enhances existing structures while increasing the value of the property. That's dated February 20th.
That's the only correspondence. Which
That's the only correspondence from the town. DNR sent their general letter. Each variance must be looked at it by a case variance or case by case scenario. Please consider all three criteria when making a decision.
Okay,
That's all I've got.
right, Dan, thank you. All right, thank you all for your testimony and for hearing here this evening.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate the time.
Your girls are very well behaved.
Young engineers waiting to happen.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Next one on the agenda this evening is the property at 6702 Sunset Trail in the town of Winnebago County. Michael Lamarich is the owner, and I'll be legal description of that.
Legal description being part of Indian Shores Plat, Lot 1, Lot 2, located in the southwest one quarter of the northwest one quarter of Section 10, Township 19 North, Range 15 East, Town of Winnebago, Winnebago County, Wisconsin.
Okay, who would like to give testimony? Okay, come forward and have this one, please.
Have you raised your right hand? Please state your name and address.
Michael Lemrick, 3095 Box Run, Appleton, Wisconsin.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, tell us what you can do.
So I have some pictures and I apologize. My surveyor was supposed to be here from Gable and she's not here. I don't know why that is, but this is the property on in 1976, and the last time I saw some two shows in this class in Winnebago County. So it's this is the end of this is the whole landing right here. This is the house I grew up in, bought this in 1990 or 1976, and it came with the back lot. My mom and dad have since been deceased. They sold the property to Pam and Randy Weingard, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago, with the option to buy this at the time. So it was $400,000 for both these properties. They only bought this, they did not buy that, which in hindsight was great because my dad was old and wanted to pass around the shop. So it all worked out. My dad died last July and left it to me. So what we're worked with Dable, and we wanted to put, we were seeing if we could add a house to this property. Essentially over the existing structure, tearing down the existing structure and then putting something up fairly similar to where that is. And I'm forgive me, my surveyor would be a lot more precise than I am, but we're trying to go, the variance would be to go 6 inches closer to Indian Shores Road, which is what I've heard from so 6 inches south. And then we would need a variance from the water. We're going to reduce that area. Currently, I think it's at 35.5 feet from the current structure to the water, and we're going to reduce that to 27 feet. Okay.
Here it says 35. Dan?
We have 35 feet from the ordinary high water mark and 10 feet from that right of way on the south part of your property there.
So my understanding from what he, proposed site, and I don't know if you have that, we're coming out 24 feet from the existing structure with this, I think is within the right of way, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. And then my understanding is that right now, from what my surveyor said, is that the current structure is 24 feet wide with this concrete walk that extends 5.4 feet off the structure, making the distance to the water's edge 32.5 feet. We are requesting a 27.1 foot width of the proposed structure, which is a reduction in the impervious surface and further from the water. That's what he had told me.
Okay, I have 35 feet here. Here, it's proposed. Proposed building setback is 35 feet.
This is where the house is right here.
Yeah, so this is your.
Okay, yeah.
That's what you're proposing.
Yeah,
So you're
okay.
meeting the same footprint, you're
Yeah.
just adding the garage.
Correct.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So right now you're 35 feet, that's what you're asking for.
Okay.
Officially on, based off the maps.
Okay, that's what he had told me, what,
Yeah, I'm not.
yeah,
sure
no,
yet.
okay. So that's what we're looking for a variance to, actually go over the existing structure. I think most of it is impervious already, as there's concrete, we would build right on top of that concrete. We would take down the existing garage, which is older, and we would put up, a house on that same footprint. It would just come out west further, which I believe is still in the right of way, I believe.
Yes, so you're gonna be in the right of way with whatever you do on the south side of that
Correct.
property.
Yep.
That's why you're asking 10 feet.
Correct.
You know, or maybe if Dan possibly knows, on the post house on the, which would be the northeast corner of the house. You know what the distance of that is from the seawall on the channel to
On the
east?
other side, the house, the old house that I lived in?
Or no?
The garage.
Post house,
Current garage.
on your new,
Okay.
post house, the northeast corner of the house, as you're looking, which would be to your right.
Right here?
Up higher, right there. You know what the distance from there to the. water is? Yes,
35 as well.
it is.
It's 35 from both the north and the east parts of that.
It is,
Correct. Yeah.
okay,
We
good.
verified that. I did way back.
Okay, because that, the reason I asked, because that measurement is not on the survey. Anyway, he's got it drawn, to me, it looks like it's a bit less.
Okay.
It's 35. and
Yeah,
that's-
they have a very thin hashed line that goes along that proposed that kind of blends in probably on your map, so you're not probably not able to see that.
Yeah, I don't see, except on the southeast corner, it shows only 26.5 feet to the lot line. That's what I was just curious
Yeah,
about.
and that's all because of the lot angles for,
Right.
you know,
Right,
different.
Even after the 6 inches added to the south.
I'm not sure, I can't speak to the 6 inches or wherever.
He's adding 6 inches here.
Yeah,
we
he's
talked
meeting
about
10 feet away, yeah, they're just talking about the east line right now. From the east side of the channel.
and I would assume that the bullet did remain.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, it's not on the survey also.
Yeah, it would remain.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have, is that?
Yeah, on the existing, yeah, that's on the existing. one.
Okay.
But on the proposed, it's not on there.
Gotcha,
I was
Gotcha. No,
making
no,
sure
absolutely.
that was true, okay, I didn't think so, but. Okay.
And we talked to, Eric Lane, I think, sent something from the county or from the town. I don't know if you got that email.
I have correspondence from the town.
Okay.
Whenever you guys are ready for.
So then the short ad would be on two sides then, not just the one. Okay, we're looking at, okay. Just wondering.
The existing structure is not currently used as a residence, is that correct?
That's correct. It does not have sewer and it doesn't have water.
But the new building will be a residence.
Again, to quote Stephen, it's not gonna be the town, Taj Mahal, but it would be a nice. It's a nice house. It would be a rectangle, what it would be, but
What is the correspondence from the town?
So the town of Winnebago. The town findings are the town took no action because this does not violate any part of the town code. That's their official position.
They officially took no action.
Correct.
Okay, that's what we all should do, I guess.
I do have correspondence from a neighboring property owner. I'm gonna read the whole thing out whenever you guys like to
Okay.
hear it.
Yeah, go ahead, you can.
Okay, we can pass. The correspondence is from 6703.
and Randy.
Based off of who we can see for a name, so they're right on the corner here. You can pass that. They're right across the street.
That one with the boat in the driveway.
Yeah.
Okay, So bear with me, so this is dated April 24th, 2023. The heading on it is 6702 Sunset Trail Variance, Winnebago County. I am writing this variance letter to contest the proposed residence where the current garage is located at 6702 Sunset Trail, Winneconne. The property in question has always been utilized as a storage area or garage since 1963. This is an extremely small lot that the owner is asking for too large of setbacks. Currently, there is a safe concern for traffic at the stop sign because of the trees located to the south of the garage that in the way to see ongoing traffic. Tearing down the garage and adding longer building structure towards Sunset Trail will block the line of sight for all traffic at Indian Shores and Sunset Trail intersection. Between average flow of traffic along an ongoing active from the west boat landing, this will surely cause accidents. We purchased our home at 6703 Sunset Trail with the understanding of the zoning / setbacks in the neighborhood. We were looking for a quiet neighborhood settling with all like-sized homes. We knew building a home across the road would be impossible based off the lot size and setbacks. There is no hardship case. This has always been a garage / storage area because of the setbacks. Only now the newly owned property wants to change the use from a garage to a residence. This structure, location, and size would alter the essential character of the neighborhood. The structure would be extremely invasive to surrounding homes, as well as infringe on neighbors' privacy. This is not depriving this new owner of a beneficial use of the property. It's always been a storage / utility / garage storage building. The new owner was aware of this when he received it from his dad. Sincerely, Randy and Pam Weingart.
And I just got off the phone with him today, and he didn't show up tonight.
So that's the correspondence from the neighboring property owner, and I don't know if everybody saw that sheet. They are directly across the street from this property.
Well, this lot is not deed restricted as a garage lot, correct?
Right.
It's always been zoned R1.
what is
From my understanding, it's just
Yeah.
R1.
Yeah, we'd like to know the.
Let me verify that. quick.
Okay. So what he is talking about is,
R2, current zoning is R2. Okay.
we did have, these were all loose spruce right here.
Yeah.
And they were that way for years and years and years, since I was in high school. And you did have to slow down to take that corner, because you couldn't see cars coming. We're proposing to take down, they're all dead, and they've been dead for a long time. So they're ugly, and I was gonna take those down. You can see better now with them dead than you could for 30 years. So that's the point. One of the main things that I think is upsetting is that Randy and Pam had a chance to buy the property and did not, and they're not very happy about it, that we would like to better that and put a house on there and live at least close to where I grew up. They're not happy about that. I only know that because literally on my dad's deathbed, they were setting up his hospice bed in the living room. She called to ask about the property July 5th. I know they want the property. I'd like to keep the property. I'd like to put a house on it. And it's not going to be anything gaudy or huge. And I want to stay within the restrictions that I have to stay into.
The site problem is a town of Winneconne issue anyway. It has nothing to do with
So what is?
the trees and the line of sight. has
Yeah,
nothing
right,
to
that's
do with
vision
us.
triangle, that's
It's a
existing.
town of
Yep.
Winneconne issue,
Okay.
not variance.
Yeah, you're only focusing on the variance.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, you got it. You're right on.
Could I speak, please?
Sure, raise your right hand for me.
You bet.
Please state your name and address.
John Van Heist, I live at 6703 Olin Trail,
John Van Heist, you said.
VAN space capital HUIS.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
I have a couple of bad knees. Okay,
You can sit down.
Okay, so I'm really the only adjacent landlord. I live on the back side of. Here, I am. It's kind of funny story. Saturday, I go in to tell my wife, somebody's flying a drone over our house and it's been there for 15 minutes. So. Anyway, I live right here. Back and then the street here. I have no problem with. We have a beautiful lot. I don't have to worry about riprap. We get a great lake view. Nothing's been disturbed. Nothing with this, with his request. As far as safety, I only wish people would slow down on Indian Shores Road coming down our street. Our neighborhood is changing. We are now, my wife and I are now the oldest people on our street. We moved here 35 years ago. Okay, thank you. There's young families, young kids, everything else. So when he talks about safety and everything else. The people on this street are the biggest violators of the bunch. It has nothing to do with sight vision. You gotta slow down to make this turn no matter what. You see, there's that, or we have had on occasion, some people don't know that this road ends and they're in the lake. Good for them. They get out pretty far. So anyway, I have no objections to this. I've known Mike's dad for ever and ever and ever, his mom, and I've known Mike since he was a high school punk having parties in the backyard. Which I was young then too, I didn't care. So anyway, I'm not opposed. I just want to be clear, I think it'd be great for the neighborhood. There's a lot of ramshackle homes that people use their front yards for a lot worse than parking a car in their driveway. There's snow wheeled boats, deserted boats up and down the streets there, so.
Would there be any thought of coming off of Indian Shore Road to the property rather than Sunset?
I don't think the town would allow it. That's a major drainage. I'm kind of the victim of that drainage issue because there's now houses now being built all the way up Indian Shores Road. And the town or whoever has never taken into consideration when you give somebody a chance to build a house and make a giant concrete helicopter pad for a driveway. All that water is now has to get to the lake. So it's going by my house. My sump pumps can smell when it's gonna rain. I mean, it's something I brought up to the town, hey, stop, give us some thought here about the drainage. I think you might have come out and looked at it with us one, somebody did from your office.
Probably our erosion control.
Yeah,
technician.
so. It is what it is. So I don't think a drainage pipe in that dip that close to the lake. It would be kind of the deadly, or the backup would be something to think about, so.
And erosion control would be part of
Yes.
the variance anyway. I'm sure they'd explain that to me.
Mike, in the written project description, it mentions that the structure is currently non-conforming. That doesn't make it illegal, it's just non-conforming. Is non-conforming the reason that's motivating this? No. Yes, it is.
No, oh, no.
Sorry, I shouldn't have phrased it that way.
It's right now the structure is so small. That if we couldn't, if it was large enough, we could turn that into, it had an attic or a second floor, we could turn that into, we'd use the structure, but it just doesn't,
Will it be more than one story?
it would be 2 stories.
It is gonna be 2 stories.
And again, that doesn't affect my site. I can't see the lake. Because there's 2 boat lifts. I have a boat lift. Mike has a boat lift. There's pine tree. I have bigger pine trees than he does in my backyard that way. So it's not like the vision is good, the channel for vision.
And then that really has no bearing either. I was just curious. Yes.
There was no further correspondence.
No, that was it. I haven't heard anything from DNR and.
That would be the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Most likely.
Okay, anyone else? Give testimony and
Check this on Zoom.
was there someone on there? I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. There was.
Anybody on Zoom wishing to speak to this variance, please make some noise.
Yes, Brian Gertz. I represent
Hold
one
on.
of those.
Hold on one second, Brian. I'm gonna swear you in, all right?
No problem, no problem.
All right, please raise your right hand.
It's raised.
Please state your name and address for me.
Brian Gertz, and my address is 30926 Kramer Drive in Waterford, Wisconsin, 53185.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
We've been neighbors with that property for, I honestly, I don't even know when the Gertz family bought our property. We are the ones that are across Indian Shores Road from the property in question. I really, I don't see any hindrance or any problem with the views or changing the character of the neighborhood, anything like that. I completely agree with, I'm sorry, Mike, I think was the last man who spoke, who's on the Olin Drive property. We've had a good relationship with that owner forever. And if they want to better their property and somebody wants to set up a residence there where, they have that family history, then I know the Gertz family would be all about it, because our property is all about family history. It's like our property is a shared property by a lot of people that bear the Gertz name, and it's been in our family forever. And if anybody ever tried to hinder us trying to improve our property, I would just feel like that would be a huge shot in the stomach. So for somebody else to do that to this property owner, I think would be the same thing.
Thank you, Brian. I just showed them where your property is. We have an aerial view, so thank you.
Also I agree about the turn on the Sunset. People on Sunset take that turn way too fast as it is, and honestly, the more obstruction there, so they have to slow down to make the turn, would be better for kids. I mean, when we're up there, my kids bike up and down that road, and they've been ran off the road a few times because people flying around the corner and such things like that. So honestly, the more people, more that they have to slow down to take the turn on and off of Sunset, the better.
That's something you should probably take up with your town board.
We do.
We try.
Jeez.
Okay, anybody else wishing to speak on Zoom, please make some noise right now. Not seeing anything else.
All right, thank you.
How big is the house you're proposing?
Question. It's the same, I believe it is, and Dan probably know, it's the same as the existing, I think it's 27 wide by,
Square feet.
we haven't even, we wanted to get, and this is shame on us, we wanted to get where we could build, and it would be a 2-story. So the first floor, over half the first floor would be a garage, maybe a little in the back. So I think it was 2,100 square feet, I think it was, if I remember right. That's what comes to my mind.
So it is 1869.
1869.
Which is, yeah, this is just the base footprint.
Yeah.
Plus whatever they do above that.
Oh, okay. So 18.
So it could be double that, You could be looking at 3,700 square feet if they were to double.
Does that include the garage? I don't know.
Yeah, that includes the garage, yeah.
Oh, that includes good.
Yeah. Garage itself is 650 above.
Any other questions on the panel? No further correspondence?
No further correspondence at this time.
Anyone else wishing to give any further testimony?
As long as I'm here, I'll
Sure.
speak up.
Please state your name and address for me.
Lori Holland, I live 6837 Sunset Trail. So same block.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So anyway, we have known the Lemrick family for eons and eons. I unfortunately, or fortunately, used to babysit those. He grew up okay. Anyway, I kind of know the same type of circumstance in that we bought my parents' property out there and then also went through all the variance type things and whatever to redo that. And I mean, I guess I would just say that for some of the residences on our block that need some major upkeeping or whatever, and that again is a town thing that they don't come in whatever. I just give kudos to the guy that wants to possibly build a home on that lot and improve it. I mean, it can only look, and it doesn't look bad, but it can only look better. So, you know, and there are homes, you know, on both, the majority of the homes on Sunset Trail are just lake homes. There are a few of us, and I am actually one of the ones included that has the 2 lots. But so there's a lot of homes on that other side of all shapes, sizes, and ages. But anyway, I just think it's an awesome deal that he wants. I like his dad a lot.
It's a heritage lot. Really is.
Good neighbor.
Gus was, his dad was grandpa to my boys, you know, the Wisconsin grandpa, not related, but we moved here from Chicago, so it was like. Gus was the Wisconsin grandpa.
Any other questions for anyone on the panel?
And again, I apologize, my surveyor Jim was supposed to be here for day one, I'm like. Come on, Jim, ready, so I apologize for.
If not, we will close this one.
Motion to adjourn?
Usual seconds.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn the Board of Adjustment public hearing for April 25th, 2023. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you guys for the service.